You're spending this money either way. Here's something nobody tells you when you start teaching in New York. You're going to spend tens of thousands of dollars on graduate credits. That's not a choice, that's the system. You need a master's degree to keep your professional certificate, and if you're smart about the salary schedule, and you should be, you're probably going to chase the credits beyond that, because in New York City, those differentials add thousands of dollars to your salary every year, permanently, and they're pensionable. So the real question is never, should I invest in more education? You have to. The real question, the one this video is about, is what should that investment be? And right now, from your union, your district, and the state education department, there is one answer being promoted louder than any other: TESOL. Today, I'm going to give you something more useful than a cheerleading video and more honest than a rant, a decision framework. Who gets a genuinely strong return on making TESOL their master's or their plus 30? And this is the part almost nobody talks about, the cheaper pathways to the same exact certification that the state quietly opened up, which might change your whole calculation. Let me be clear before we start. I work with multilingual learners. Serving them is my professional home. Nothing in this video questions whether L work matters. It questions whether one particular route into it is the right use of your next 30 graduate credits, an investment that can run anywhere from 5 figures at CUNY to a lot more at a private college. Those are different questions. Let's treat them that way. Quick foundation, because the whole video sits on this. In New York, you need a master's degree to move from your initial to your professional teaching certificate. Non-negotiable. On top of that, the U of T salary schedule pays differentials for education. The first differential at 30 credits past your bachelor's. The promotional differential when you hit your master's. And then the second differential, what everyone calls the MA plus 30 lane, formerly C6 plus PD on the U of T schedule, for a master's plus another 30 credits that weren't part of your master's. Two things about those differentials that make this decision serious. One, they're permanent. They follow you everywhere in your career. Two, they're pensionable. They follow you into your retirement. Which means the content of those credits is one of the biggest financial and professional decisions of your career. And most teachers make it by picking whatever program is closest to home or easiest online. Don't do that, because here's the thing about plus 30 especially. The salary schedule pays you the same differential whether those 30 credits are in TESOL, literacy, special education, educational leadership, or, and people really do this, a grab bag of professional development courses. The paycheck is identical. The career doors those credits open are absolutely not. So, same money out of your pocket, same differential in, the entire ROI question lives in what the credential does for you beyond the lane change. Now, let's talk about TESOL specifically. 3 forces have converged to put TESOL at the top of every district's wish list. First, the law. Commissioner's Regulations Part 154 governs services for English language learners in New York. Since the 2015 amendments, the majority of ENL instruction must be integrated inside the content classroom. And Part 154 lets schools staff an integrated ENL class one of 2 ways: a co-teaching pair, a certified content teacher plus a certified ESOL teacher, or a single duly certified teacher. A teacher who holds both licenses can alone satisfy the staffing requirement. Second, the students. New York City has absorbed tens of thousands of newly arrived and asylum-seeking students in just a few years. The need is real. It's urgent and it's not going away. Third, the shortage. There aren't enough ESOL certified teachers. The Board of Regents said so themselves when they adopted emergency rules, quote, in response to the influx of recently arrived and asylum-seeking students, creating a fast-track pathways to ESOL certification. New York State Education Department states openly that it's exploring incentives to get more teachers TESOL certified and bilingual extended. Put those together and you get a credential with genuine scarcity value, legal weight, and a growing client population. But scarcity value for the system and return on investment for you are not automatically the same thing. So let's do what nobody does in the recruitment flyer: segment the audience. Profile 1. You teach in an L-heavy building and you plan to stay. If a third of your roster is multilingual learners, TESOL coursework isn't an add-on. It's your actual job description, finally getting the training it deserves. You'll use it every period. You become more effective Monday morning, more valuable at program planning time, and nearly layoff-proof in your building. For you, TESOL as masters is as close as to a no-brainer. Profile 2, the career changer. You want to become the specialist. Maybe you've discovered the work you love most is the newcomer work. Understanding what you'd be stepping into, because the dedicated ENL teacher job is far bigger than the instruction. Identification and compliance paperwork, NYSED administration, tracking language growth across 4 modalities, family orientations, sitting with a parent who just arrived from Ecuador or Ukraine or Senegal, and explaining not just the language but the system, report cards, conferences, how American schools work, advocacy, like catching the emergent bilingual about to be misreferred to a special education because nobody separated language acquisition from learning disability, and training colleagues, since Part 154 expects all teachers to get L-focused professional development. That's a profession, not an endorsement. If that list excites you, this country runs on integrating talent from around the world, and it needs you. Full masters, full commitment, and a strong return. Profile 3, the future school leaders. Here's a stat that should stop you cold. Researchers Kate Mankin and Christian Solorza. Mankin is a professor at Queens College and the CUNY Graduate Center, studied New York City principals who dismantled their schools' bilingual programs. In their study, Principals as Linchpins in Bilingual Education, they found that these schools' leaders had received zero formal preparation in educating emerging bilinguals. New York requires no coursework on multilingual learners for the School Building Leader Certificate. Now flip that around. If you are aiming at leadership in a high L city, and in New York every building is becoming a high L building, deep ENL expertise makes you the rarest kind of candidate, a leader who actually understands the largest compliance obligation and the fastest growing student population in the system. Mencken and Solorza called principals the linchpins. Be the prepared linchpin. That's a career moat. Profile 4. You are in a district actively short on ENL staffing. Shortage area credentials carry hiring preferences, transfer leverage, and the job security that a generic 30 credits never will. Check your district's actual postings before you decide. Now the honest part. Same tuition, same nights and weekends. Here's who may see a weaker return. If your license and daily role already cover the skills, some certifications and roles already steep you in a language and literacy development. If your day-to-day gives you most of the toolkit, a full 30 to 36 credit TESOL program may buy you a certificate more than a capability. For context on cost, additional certificate TESOL programs for already licensed New York educators typically run around 30 to 36 graduate credits, essentially another master's degree. If you'd be a lone, dually certified teacher covering mandated minutes solo, know what the research says quality looks like. Andrea Honigsfeld and Maria Dove, the national authorities on collaborative ENL services, published by Corwin, and the framework you'll see cited in New York's own state-funded ENL training networks, built the model. 2 educators, structured co-planning, a full cycle of co-planning, co-instruction, co-assessment, and reflection. Their line, for English learners, collaboration isn't an option, it's a must. So before you invest, ask your admin one question in writing. If I earn this, will I be the sole E&L provider for my classes? And what co-planning or push-in supports come with that? A clear answer means a real program. A vague answer means your credits fund a staffing solution instead of a career move. If your student population genuinely doesn't call for it, ROI on a specialist credential depends on having someone to specialize in. If your building and your 5-year plan don't include significant L populations, 30 credits in literacy, special education, or leadership may open more doors for the same money. Ophelia Garcia, Professor Emerita at CUNY, National Academy of Education, reminds us these services are a civil right going back to Lau versus Nichols in 1974. Rights deserve experts who chose the work, not credit collectors who drifted in. And the big one, if a cheaper pathway gets you the same certificate, which brings us to the section that might save you a serious amount of tuition. Listen carefully because this changes the math. Option A, the supplementary certificate, the exam pathway. In response to the newcomer influx, New York State Education Department created a temporary flexibility that lets already certified New York teachers earn a supplementary teaching certificate in ESOL by passing the ESOL content specialty test. In the state's own words, even for teachers who have not yet earned graduate level credit in the program area, you need a superintendent's statement, your district confirms the employment and the shortage, and the certificate is valid for 5 years while you complete the full requirements. Translation, you can be legally servicing Ls, gaining the experience, and confirming you actually love this work before you sink a master's worth of tuition into it. Try before you buy. One critical caveat, and I'm saying it on camera on purpose, this is a temporary emergency flexibility, renewed by the Board of Regents every few months since 2023. As of when I'm recording this, it's set to run out in August, and the state has signaled it may move to adopt this as a permanent rule around the same time. But signaled isn't done. Before you build a plan on it, verify the current requirements yourself on NYSED Teach System. Option B, the individual evaluation pathway. Already hold a New York certificate? You can pursue the additional TESOL certificate through NYSED's transcript evaluation route. They credit the relevant coursework you've already taken. You fill the specific gaps past the ESOL CST. Done. No full degree program required. Depending on your transcript, this can be dramatically cheaper than enrolling in a fresh 36 credit program. Option C, TESOL as a master's itself. If you haven't done your required master's yet, this is the cleanest play in the whole video. You have to buy a master's anyway. Making it TESOL means the mandatory purchase and the strategic credential are the same purchase. One tuition, 2 boxes checked. Option D, TESOL as your plus 30. Already have your master's in something else? A TESOL additional certificate program can be your 30 credits toward the second differential. Again, you were buying the lane change anyway. The question is whether these particular credits open your particular doors. And know the whole menu for the plus 30. Chancellor approved professional development, National Board certification, which also earns the differential, literacy, special education, leadership credits. TESOL competes with all of these. Make it win on merit for your situation, not on marketing. Screenshot this part. 5 questions. 1. Who are my students now and in 5 years? Look at your building's enrollment trends, not the brochure. 2. What's my destination? Classroom specialist or leadership? Specialist and leadership tracks in this city both argue strongly for TESOL. A classroom track depends entirely on question 1. 3. What would these exact credits buy me elsewhere? Not, is TESOL good? Is TESOL better than my next best option? That's what ROI actually means. 4. Can I get a certificate cheaper first? If the exam pathway or individual evaluation is open to you, why would you not at least start there? 5. What does the staffing model look like on the other side? Get it in writing. Co-teaching with support or solo provider Both can be legitimate, but only one of them should you walk into unknowingly. If you come out of these 5 questions with clear answers pointing at TESOL, congratulations. You just made a strategic decision instead of an anxious one. And if they point elsewhere, you haven't rejected L work. You just found your right-sized way in. Maybe through exam pathway, maybe through district PD, maybe later in your career. One closing thought for the future administrators watching, because this channel is ultimately about what makes schools succeed. The research is blunt. Mencken and Salorza show that school leaders make language program decisions with almost no preparation. And Honigsfeld and Dove showed that quality integrated ENL takes real structures, 2 educators, real co-planning time, real administrative support. So the leadership version of this whole video is 1 sentence. Build buildings where a teacher's TESOL investment lands in a well-designed program. Funded PD, protected co-planning, sensible caseloads, and the best people will fight to bring that credential to your school. The schools that treat the credential as a person to develop rather than a line item to save win the talent war every time. So, TESOL as your master's, TESOL as your plus 30, the exam pathway first or the different 30 credits entirely? Where did the framework land for you? Tell me in the comments, especially if you took the supplementary certificate route. People need to hear real experiences with it. Subscribe because the next video takes on the sequel question, bilingual extensions, and how dual language programs, with the best intentions in the world, can end up locking talented veteran teachers into placements they never chose.